We can now go to Lord Marland, who's the Prime Minister's former Trade Envoy under David Cameron. Lord Marland, what a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking time to join us this evening.
Thank you for asking me.
Of course, absolute pleasure. Starmer says the new tech deal has the power to change lives and create 15,000 jobs in the UK. What do you make of the agreement signed today between the US and the UK?
Well, it's a stunning amount of money on paper, but the real question is whether it turns to reality. One rather hopes it does. Any investor from America investing in the United Kingdom will have to struggle with a number of things. One is the high tax regime, which is putting people off, corporation tax going up, national insurance has gone up, which means that people in the UK aren't people to the extent they were. Employment is flat and will decrease. And people in the UK are not investing in their own country. So, you know, this is big headline stuff. The reality is when they look closer, lift the bonnet open and see what the engine looks like, they may well back off.
And it's so interesting that you do say that to me, because let's talk a little bit about what's happened today. The Bank of England kept interest rates on hold. And as you mentioned to me, growth has flatlined in the UK. You also mentioned that it's a good amount of money on paper, but the tax regime, the hike in national insurance. Rachel Reeves's autumn statement is coming up soon, and we're all anticipating this. What rabbit do you think she'll pull out of the hat?
Well, she's got very few rabbits she can pull out of the hat. You know, in order to get activity and growth into the country, you need to reduce tax. This government have been pernicious against non-doms, so a lot of them have left the country. It's been pernicious about employers, businesses, because they put corporation tax up, national insurance up, and of course income tax is at an all-time high. They're not responsible for that. The Conservative government, previous Conservative government, was responsible for that. But you know, everything that they have been doing has been attacking the middle to upper middle class, who have been the wealth providers in the country. And, you know, we are a country of about 66 million people. Only 16 million are actually paying revenue creating tax. In other words, they're not part of the civil service, which 40% of everyone employed in this country is paid for directly or indirectly by the government. We have a very big amount of pensioners, and we have a very big welfare state. So those are the areas which are crippling the country. But she is hand-tied on tax. She says she's not put up income tax. She can't put up corporation tax anymore because it really will kill growth. And certainly the American businesses won't invest in it. So I'm not sure what rabbit she brings out of hat. She could get rid of stamp duty or reduce that into a level that is sustainable, because there's no liquidity in the housing market. And there needs to be liquidity in the housing market because that gives people hope. It gives people turnover. It means that there's activity and there's prosperity within it. She could do that. That would be welcome. She could, of course, put a tax on higher value houses, which is something she's rumoured to be doing. But again, that's a negative for the earners, not so much the earners, but the entrepreneurial, the business people at the top end of the income tax provision.
Yes, indeed. We'll have to wait to see what Rachel Reeves does have up her sleeve. But more, Lord Marland, I just want to go to something else that was discussed today in this press conference between Donald Trump and Keir Starmer, and it was the elephant in the room. We have seen Peter Mandelson in the Oval Office with President Donald Trump. But of course, today, when asked about his sacking over Jeffrey Epstein links, Trump just claimed he didn't know him. It's pretty extraordinary.
Yes, he's good. He's good at that, isn't he? And you know, some of the stuff that the president told us about, of course, was grossly overinflated in terms of how well the American economy is doing, how much inward investment there has been. But there's no doubt about it, he has created a trajectory and optimism within the country, which is what you need to do. A lower tax regime, which would be very welcome in the United Kingdom, and he's setting, he's playing for high stakes. This is high risk strategy. But if the strategy comes off, America will be boomtown, won't it?
And he says that. He always says that. America is the biggest place to invest right now. America is hot, in Donald Trump's words. But Lord Marland, let's say President Trump said Keir Starmer is a tough negotiator today in that press conference. But do you actually think the British Prime Minister has done enough? As we know, over in the UK, he's on the political ropes. He's facing a lot of criticism. Will this get him out of hot water? No,
it won't. Even though, in fairness to the Prime Minister, he's done very well with international relationships. He has built a relationship with Trump, one of mutual interest. But and of course, he's rebuilt a number of relationships around the world. And I think he's shown a very steady hand in doing that. But that won't do him any good at home. People in the end will look at what's going on in their pockets. His reset has been dogged by scandal, and the Mandelson scandal shows utter lack of judgment from a man who's twice had been shown the yellow card, which is a phrase we use in football terms where you're about to be sent off, and then they've allowed him back on the pitch, knowing that it's a high-risk strategy, that he wasn't appointed in the correct way. Is most unusual in this country, not, of course, totally different from the States. There's a non-diplomat or someone who hasn't been in the civil service is appointed to the role of ambassador. It's only the Labour Party who's really ever done that, and they've largely ended in failure. And, Mandelson was always a high-risk appointment, and it's ended in complete dust. It's that sort of greed and not throwing the difference between right and wrong that he and indeed Angela Rayner have demonstrated. I'm not saying this is not a party political point of view, by the way. This is because also in the Conservative Party and Reform Party we have the same issues. It's knowing the difference between right and wrong, what you can and can't do, and not letting your eyes turn by power and greed. I'm afraid Mandelson has a history of that. He's a very able man, of course, but this was a high-risk strategy. But I tell you, the thing that will really not do the Prime Minister a very good service is that he didn't sack Mandelson himself. He got one of his minions to do it, as he did with his own reshuffle. And a Prime Minister who won't confront individuals who he has to get rid of doesn't last for very long, because they realise he's a coward, and is a man of straw. So this will be the problem for Starmer, is that as he becomes eroded within his own party, it will be, in my view, a matter of time before he is got rid of. And I don't expect he will be fighting the next election. I don't think it'll be immediate, by the way, but I don't think he'll be fighting the next election.
Lord Marland, it was a pleasure to have you on the show and your thoughts and analysis. Thank you so much for your time this evening.